The Bolex. This camera is a spring-wound film camera with a prism reflex viewfinder system, which means the light is reflected up to the eye through a series of prisms so that you can see the image being shot. It is designed for 16mm filmmaking in standard 16 format, meaning it has a 4:3 aspect ratio. The Bolex features a 3-lens turret. This allows for the exchange for fixed focal short, normal, and long lenses to be switched quickly and easily. The turret can pivot clockwise and counterclockwise by pressing on the silver levers here. Always turn the turret by these levers, never the lenses. The lens that is positioned between the others to the right is the lens that is in current operation, referred to as the taking lens. This is the turret lock. It is used to lock down the turret and to keep the turret from rotating counterclockwise. Simply move the lock out of the way if you wish to turn the turret counterclockwise. This is the run button or trigger. The camera will run normally as long as this button is held down. To view through this lens, we look through the eyepiece. Because of the type of viewfinder system, you will never find the shutter blocking your view. This is the viewfinder door lever. This will block light from coming through the eyepiece and exposing the film. It is closed when the dial is straight up and open when it is laying back. The diopter can be found here. This ring is to adjust for the focus of the viewfinder itself to compensate for the individual's eyesight. This is the spring motor engage or disengage lever. Setting it to the MOT position means the spring is engaged and able to run in a normal forward manner. Setting it to the O position disengages the spring-wound motor. This becomes useful when the camera needs to be back-wound. This is the footage counter. This displays the amount of film that has been shot in ascending numbers from 0 to 100, measured in feet. It automatically resets when the camera door is opened. When the camera is loaded, the counter will read FT, and the film needs to be advanced to 0 to get past any light-struck footage. This is the winding crank. It is used to build up tension in the spring to allow the camera to run forward. The crank is turned counterclockwise in order to build up tension. Turning it clockwise will unscrew it from the camera body. Before shooting, make sure the crank is secured in place, otherwise it will spin as the activated motor turns. A full wind provides approximately 20 seconds of shooting time at 24 frames per second. This is the run switch. It is connected to the run button on the front of the camera. By pulling the switch back towards the M, it will engage a continuous running motor, allowing for normal film exposure. The switch can be pulled back and locked into place so that the operator doesn't have to keep the camera running like that of a run button. Pushing it forward towards the P exposes a single frame at a time. This is the frames per second dial. This dial, with the numbers circling it, allows the camera to run at different speeds for undercranking or overcranking the film. The number that is lined up with the red dot is the current running speed in operation. 24 frames is for standard motion. Anything under is for fast motion. Anything over is for slow motion. This is the instantaneous or time switch. This only affects single frame shooting or exposing a single frame at a time by pushing the run switch forward towards the P. When set on the T, the shutter will remain open for as long as the run switch is toward the P. If the dial is in the I position, the shutter will give a consistent exposure to all single frame exposures. This is the variable shutter lever. This adjusts the variable shutter by opening it when the lever is up or closing it when the lever is down. The lever must be pulled out from the camera slightly and then slid down. On some models, an upward-facing arrow will appear on the viewfinder to let you know that the shutter is closed. Make sure to check the lever itself to be sure. When manually focusing the lens while shooting, a measurement must be taken between subject and film plane. This is the film plane indicator on the outside of the camera to let you know where the film plane lies. This is the 1-to-1 shaft. This camera is capable of an electric motor attachment when the spring is disengaged. Such an attachment would go here, though you will only be using the spring-wound motor, so you don't need to worry about this. This is the 8-to-1 shaft, or otherwise known as the back-wind shaft. When the spring is disengaged, the back winding crank is inserted here to rewind the film inside the camera. Remember to close the variable shutter before back winding. This is the frame counter. The top dial counts the frames individually from 0 to 50 frames. The bottom dial counts frames by the hundreds from 0 to 1000. The top dial can be reset by turning the 8-to-1 or back winding knob. The bottom dial can be reset by turning the frame counter knob. On the inside of the camera, we see here the supply reel, where the unexposed film is, and the take-up reel, where the exposed film winds up. These are loop formers. These allow for automatic threading of the film. They need to be closed in position to load the camera and in open position for shooting. They are opened and closed using the loop former lever here. To open the loop formers, press on the center button here. To close the loop formers, push down and back on the lever here. Do not open or close them by pressing on the curved metal pieces, only the loop former lever. These are the sprocket drums that hold the film into place by fitting the teeth into the sprocket holes. This is the pressure plate. This holds the film against the gate. This is the film cutter. To load the camera properly, the film end has to have a certain angle. To cut the film, simply place the end under the lifted metal piece so that it is lined up with the inside of the camera body itself. Then press down on the lifted metal piece to cut the film at the proper angle. This is the spool ejector. This allows you to easily take out the reels from the camera body. This is the metronome. When this lever is in the down position, the camera will click once every second while it's running. This can be useful for timing long takes. It can be turned off by turning the lever up towards the O. Now to load the camera. This should be done in dim light, but for this tutorial, it will be done in regular light. To start, make sure the camera has a wind on it. Lift the lid by turning the ring to the O and pull straight up. Remove the empty spool from the supply reel by pressing the reel eject lever. Place the supply reel onto the top shaft position so that the film is coming off the reel clockwise. Just follow the white arrows. Pull out some film and cut the end off to get the proper angle for film loading. Remember to discard the piece that has been cut off. Close the loop formers with the loop former lever. Press the run button or trigger while simultaneously pushing the end of the film against the sprocket drum. The film should automatically thread into the camera. Open the loop formers by pressing the center button. Make sure you have about a foot of film on the opposite end of the loop former to be wound up onto the take-up reel. Place the cover back onto the camera and turn the ring so it is in the F position to lock it closed. The Bolex.